Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hims, hers, and theys, nerds of all colors, creeds, and alliances. Welcome to the very first Axes, Armor, and Amulets end-of-year update. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. I am your friendly, or depending on how much you love the characters in our podcast, maybe your unfriendly and most hated DM, Quentin. Thanks for joining us today. And while we talk about the things that have been, were, and will be on this little YouTube video that we're going to make sure gets up on all of our social medias. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. A whole lot of things to talk about. First and foremost, for those of you who have been with us from the very beginning, thank you for joining in this journey that I never knew was going to be a possibility. And once it started to become a possibility, I didn't realize how fast it would make its way all around the world, actually. We are, according to my analytics on our hosting website, we're in quite a few countries all over the place. Here in America, obviously, and Europe apparently enjoys us too. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping me make this a reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, and hims, hers, and theys, I want to talk about a few things. One of the things from the very beginning I've talked about with my players and also talked about with you guys is that I wanted this podcast to be a reliable story for all of you to listen to every single week. And for those of you who are just jumping in, just starting your adventure with us at Axes, Armor, and Amulets, you may not notice much of a hiccup, but for those of you who have been here from the very beginning, you guys have definitely noticed the hiccup. Most recently, of course, is when we went on a short hiatus due to some construction projects taking place in my house. My life, I've talked about, on the podcast a couple times, is ever-changing and very chaotic. And, there was a change of plans where I had a plan to move out of state, out of Utah, and up to Wyoming, which ended up not happening. And because of that, I did a little bit of home renovation, one of which was add this beautiful blank wall behind me to help kind of cut out some of the sound problems we were having. A lot of echoing and a lot of happy children running around, which, I mean, there could be worse noises to have, but, trying to make a semi-professional sounding podcast, the yipping, hollering, and screaming of children is not professional. So, try to close in the studio a little bit, make some things happen. And during that construction period, we also had a couple job changes take place with some of our cast members. Daisy and Shake survived a couple hurricanes down in Florida. Things got messy and out of control really, really fast. And we did the best that we could, but what was supposed to be a 4-week hiatus ended up being an 8-week hiatus. And before I knew it, we were out of content. We hadn't recorded anything, and there was a significant gap. For those of you who play D&D in person, you will come to recognize this as the regular D&D scheduling conundrum that all of us deal with, that most parties seem to suffer from after just a few short weeks. You just start getting your sessions rolling, and all of a sudden your DM is not available because their schedule changed, or 2 of the 5 players can't make it. And anyways, so I want to apologize about that fiasco. Obviously, some of that was out of our hands. Some of it was within my hands that I did not handle as well as I had hoped I would in getting things moving regularly, and for that I apologize from the bottom of my heart. And I wish I could say that it would never happen again, but it's happening again currently as we speak. I have recently taken a great opportunity in changing jobs for something that hopefully will be a little more beneficial for my family, will be more beneficial for my podcast, for the network I'm trying to build with you guys, for my players, for my hobbies. Unfortunately, it does require a little bit of a sacrifice. Today, I'm recording this on December 8th at 11:52 in the morning, and in 3 days, I will be leaving for training out of state, and I will not be returning home until mid-February. I don't even have an exact date yet, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. And because of this, once again, we have no content. Trying to spend time with my family for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, and all my players have been doing the same thing. We have not been able to get things together to really create the quality content that I want to provide for you guys. And from the very beginning, I told you guys this would be a real play podcast. Besides the missing episode, which I believe was episode 25, we have not had to do any re-recording. We have not had to do any taking back of things. We have been... what you guys hear is what was recorded, just slightly edited by yours truly. And so, I have wanted to make sure that if we are going to get together, that there's no rush to get through what we're shooting for, 50 to hour long edited episodes. And so we've just been unable to make that work between the holidays as I'm getting ready to go on this training. So, unfortunately, as I said, there is another hiatus, and it's looking like it's going to put us until mid-February. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like when I come back. I would like to say that, as soon as I get back, I'll be able to start getting back on the DMing, the editing, and the releasing of episodes on a weekly basis, but that probably won't happen until the first week of March. And so that's when our regular show is going to start again, is that first weekend the first week of March. And the reason I want to put it out to that is I want to put out quality content to you guys. It is important to me that not only do you enjoy the story that we are writing together, that we are creating with my players and our cast, but that it is of quality that's worth sharing and not rushed, and that I have time to prepare and prep, and my players have time to feel and react, and that it feels organic, that it feels natural, that it's not hurried and rushed. So those are the things that are happening right now. Now, for the part that you guys are here for is the update. When we first started off our little podcast 13 months ago, we had really big dreams. And I still have really big dreams for this network. I still would love to see our network go nationwide here in Americas, where we can go to, PAX East, PAX West, we can go to PaizoCon and the different cons across the nation, and Axes, Armor, and Amulets can have a presence at all of those things. To have an actual studio at one point would be amazing. An actual office where I can ship merchandise out of, and that is the ultimate dream. That dream, when I was talking about it 13 months ago, I think I put a little more, not faith, but being as someone who has never started up a business before, at least not a podcast business, I didn't know what kind of timeline I was looking at, and so I wanted to be growing more, and we are growing quite quickly. I would like everyone to know that. Our reach is far, but I put a lot more on myself and my cast initially, with growth of additional podcasts, having a second or even third, story going on right now. And we've talked about that a lot. I've hinted at that a lot. And I realized I've made a mistake. There was no way we were going to be able to push out a second show this year with everything that was happening. And so, it is something I still want to do. I am, however, here acknowledging it to you guys that I really didn't know what I was talking about when I was saying I wanted to be on my third show by 2023, because there's no way I could do 3 weekly shows right now. And maybe that's because I do most of this alone. You guys have heard me talk about that a couple times, that I do just about everything by myself. So I have a great cast. They're great players, and I love them all dearly. They are all some of my closest friends, but all of them are on the East Coast. This past summer I had the privilege of having Daisy and Shake here with me, which was wonderful. Very much look forward to having them again next time they make their way out west. However, I do everything alone. I try to post everything on Facebook by myself. I'm trying to get on Instagram. I'm trying to be active on Twitter, which I'm not good at because I'm not a social media guy in the first place. So I am struggling with the social media aspect, but I'm trying. I do obviously all the prep, all the editing, all the posting, all the acquisition of our music, the creating of our music. Sometimes I use a combination of the stuff on Sirenscape. Other times I actually have purchased songs off of I'm not going to remember, SoundSpot, SoundCloud. I don't remember the name of the website. And other ones have been from, actual studios where I've purchased some of the music from. Actual studios. So it's all legal for us to use, but I have been the one that has primarily done all of that stuff, and kind of acknowledging what I anticipated us doing coming into 2023. I realized I put way more on my table than I could have hoped to actually have accomplished. And it's wonderful. I do not plan on I do not plan on stopping our podcast. Our podcast will continue. It is something I have come to love, and the network that we're building and the community that we have, not only on Discord but on Facebook, is wonderful, and I love interacting and getting to know everybody. And I very much look forward to the things that are to come. Now, going forward, our plans are going to be solely based on not what I want to do, but on what we can make happen based on my cast. And obviously, as we start putting more content out there, word of mouth starts traveling for those who want to donate to our little ensemble of cast and characters and see us grow. Our growth is going to be a little more dictated on what we can afford to do, not on what I want to do. So we still have plans, not only for shows 2 and 3. Talking with my players, they know that there are 11 adventure paths that I would love to do. And whether we do them on podcast or I do them with them outside of the podcast, that is yet to be seen. But if things continue to grow, there are a total of 11 more adventure paths that I would love to be able to record and publish and share with all of you. There is also plans for us to get away from 5th edition. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me gripe about 5th edition. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me be a Pathfinder fanboy. Both systems are great. 5th edition is amazing for revitalizing the TTRPG genre. 5th edition is great to bring in new people to the hobby that, the older systems admittedly are more complicated. And for a lot of people, that was a factor where they just weren't willing to, Pathfinder is called Mathfinder as a joke for a reason. There's a lot of math to be done. And for a lot of people, that was unsettling, and it was a lot of work for a hobby. Both systems are great. They are great for different things, but I believe that our cast, our players, and myself have outgrown the simplicity of 5th edition and want something a little more challenging and a little more customizable, and, in my opinion, a little more difficult for the players. So, eventually we will be switching to Pathfinder. In fact, our next podcast, whether, our flagship show, Axes, Armor, and Amulets, runs to completion of the Storm Giant's Thunder, or Storm King's Thunder, or ends tragically in a TPK, which I don't know if I would continue that if there's a full TPK. I'm not quite sure how that would go. I would have to talk to my players about that one. But after Storm King's Thunder, we will be switching to Pathfinder. So, long story short is, don't worry. If you love what we do and you love our content, it's not going away. Even if our story comes to an end, we have many, 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 many more adventure paths that we would love to share with you guys. And, eventually, my dream is still one day for me to be able to do this full time. And whether that means I'm running this same casting crew through 4 adventure paths a week, or we start looking for other cast to join us for, a second or third weekly show, so be it. But I would love to do this full time and just push out stories to all of you for you to listen and for you to enjoy, and to give you guys the opportunity to sit at our virtual table and have as much fun with us as we have had with you. Well, that was mushy. You guys got me mushy. Anyways, so those are the updates. Those are the status reports, if you guys will. Maybe I'll call this as, state of the network address. I kind of like that. Anyways, so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hims, hers, and theys, please, if you like what we do, check out our social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. I'm working on being more active, I promise. I'm really working on it, really trying to be more present online. At all of those, we are Axes, Armor, and Amulets Network, not podcast. Axes, Armor, and Amulets. Axes, Armor, and Amulets Network. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, obviously. We're also on Patreon. For those of you who love what we do, want to support what we do, and want to see us grow, we are on Patreon. Now, Patreon is not a requirement for you to listen to our awesome content. It is, however, what is protecting our awesome little Discord group. Our Discord group is where we hang out. We talk all things nerdy. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Witcher, Game of Thrones. We also talk about, D&D and Pathfinder and podcasts, and some of us paint miniatures. Others of us like to just sit around and tell campfire stories. Some like to trade recipes. We are also, ironically, have a huge crochet and knitting community in our Discord. So it's absolutely wonderful. If you guys want to check us out on our Discord, you got to be a Patreon subscriber. If you guys want to help us grow, got to be a Patreon subscriber. We are patreon.com/Axes, Armor, Amulets. I'm not very active either there. It goes back to the whole social media thing. I'm working on it, I promise. But as always, guys, stay safe out there. Enjoy what you do what you enjoy, and I hope to see you at our table. Have a wonderful day.